Flosstube, welcome to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for joining me. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back to visit me again. Let me see, I have had a lot going on since my last video. I had my work trip to Las Vegas and I did get to go to Stitcher's Paradise, which is a beautiful little shop. It's at first, when you first enter, it seems really small, but then it did sort of feel like it went on forever, and she has a ton of stuff packed in there. My only disappointment was that it looked like an open stitch kind of day, so there were a lot of ladies in there stitching. So fun to see what they were stitching, but I couldn't get to. She had all of the European designers all on the front windowsill, and I couldn't really get to those, and that's a lot of my favorite designers, so I was sort of wanting to see what was different in there. I did get to poke around some, but I couldn't get to the bins that were farther back. But I bought a couple things in there, not too much. I knew I had the Needlework Extravaganza, which was last weekend. Had an absolutely fantastic time at that. That is sponsored by Needlework by Jim, and Jim and Allison do a fantastic job with it. So it's an Embassy Suites. It's similar to Market or Galleria in that there's a huge stitching room, and then the third floor, like every other room, was a vendor, and they set up all their wares basically in the living room area. And the rooms are open for you to go in and shop. And there were probably, I don't know, maybe 30 different vendors there, designers, bag makers, a little bit of everything. So had a fantastic group at my table. My friend Lana, who is Silly Notion Stitcher on Flosstube, was there. And then I got to spend some time with Donna and Carolyn, who are from here in Delaware. Not Donna, Jean and Carolyn, who are here in Delaware, and Jean actually watches my Flosstube, so I knew that they were going to be there, and I was excited we got to sit at the same table, so I got to know them a little more. And then the other folks at the table changed each day, so you could get a space. You could sign up for the whole weekend, or you could sign up for a day, or you could come and just shop. So there were all kinds of different alternatives there, and we had a fun table all weekend, so it was a good time. I have a few housekeeping things from my last video. Somebody asked what the pattern is for the quilt behind me, and it actually reminded me that that is a Christmas quilt, and it's time for it to come down. But it is from Fat Quarter Style, which is an It's So Emma pattern book. It's all patterns with fat quarters, and it looks like I've got 3 bookmarked in here that I want to do in addition to the one behind me. I bought the book because the fabric was a kit from Fat Quarter Shop, and I got it on clearance, but then I did have to buy the book to do it. Here's the quilt in the book, so you can see what it looks like in very different fabric. It doesn't have to look bright and Christmassy like mine. This is more of a, you know, antique-y, old-timey looking quilt. So it's a nice book. It's 65 pages, so it's got a lot in here. There are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 12 patterns in this book, so I know you can get it from Fat Quarter Shop. I know other places sell It's So Emma, but I do know It's So Emma is Fat Quarter Shop, so you can definitely pick it up there. I showed last time the tin that I got in Stitches when I was in Alexandria. I don't know when it was. Last month. And the tin says that there's a thimble, threading needle, awl, scissors, and syringe. The syringe really was throwing me off. I think the name is what really threw me. And then when I looked online for this same tin, which you can get on Amazon, it's a really nice little set. This one's copper. It comes in like a pewter too. This is a needle case. It's really nice. The top fits on securely. It's a pretty set. And I really like this awl that came with it. It's a little small, but sometimes small's good. But the mystery syringe, this thing that I asked you guys, what the heck is this? And a few of you responded right away with the answer, and it was sort of a duh, of course it is. When I saw your answer, it is a bodkin. You would use it to pull like a piece of elastic through casing. So you've got your seam and you've got to pull cord or elastic or something through it, and you use this to sort of inch it along. Now the hole's not very big, so you'd be limited in what you could pull through with this. So I'm still not sure how practical it is, but the answer did make sense, that it's a bodkin. So thank you all so much for that. All right, one of the things I mentioned, and then I'm going to dig into stitching, and I'll do some more retreat talk after I go through the stitching that I've done. But I had mentioned that I was trying to, this was my reminder to myself, I wanted to know what the base fabric was for Vintage Stormy Night. So this is Vintage Stormy Night. I keep stitching on the back of it because I love this color gray, and every time I go to pull some gray, this is the one I grab, and then I have it out thinking I'm gonna stitch on Vintage Stormy Night, and then I stitch on the back. So I wanted to know what the base was, and I was able to figure it out there. Jim was a Zweigart distributor for the US, so he's got all the colors and knows all the things, and the base is pearl gray. So you'll see, I mean, it's a slightly different dye lot, but this is it. It's pearl gray. So anybody wanting Vintage Stormy Night, it's pearl gray. Someone else mentioned that they would like to know what Vintage Smoky Night was. So that one is more of a creamy white, and I did find out that the base for that one is just antique white. So antique white is not a pure white, but it's not cream either. I guess I would call it a creamy white. I'm not sure how you would describe it. There's a thread that I always use quilting that's the same. It's not a stark pure white. It does have just a hint of creaminess, so it softens it a bit, and it isn't as stark. So antique white is the base for Vintage Smoky Night. So now on to stitching. I've got some finishes. I got some finishing done in between all of my traveling. So I had started this last year, Lila's Studio Seasons Spring. And I got it finished. I don't have it FFO'd yet. And you're going to look at it and go, yeah, it's not done. But it's as done as I'm going to get it. So the pattern has some Easter eggs here. I don't want the Easter eggs because I did want it to just be spring. And then because I left the Easter eggs off, I did leave, there's some very small blue Quaker motifs up in each corner. But if I put those up there, it's going to make it all very top heavy. So just to leave it balanced, I did go ahead and leave those off as well. So it is done. I haven't decided how I'm going to FFO it yet. I pulled some fabric thinking I would do a pillow. These three kind of go together. I wasn't sure what I knew this is going to get used if I have to put any on the front. but then I wasn't sure about the back, what I wanted to do. So I had pulled some fabric for a pillow, but then I started thinking about it, and I thought I had already bought a frame for this. So I did look, and I have it's sort of a lime green frame that this would be really pretty in. So I'm not sure when I'm going to FFO this, because I want to think through if I want it to be a pillow or a framed piece. I probably have more space to use a pillow for spring than I do shelf space or wall space to put, it's 8 by 10 framed piece up, but I already have this frame, and I don't know what else I'll do with this lime green frame. Sorry about that. I'm battling allergies. And this fabric is 28 count Alma in gray mist. There's nothing gray about it, but the color is gray mist. And I'm pretty sure it's labeled correctly. I know what shop this label is from. It's an old label. And this is, the fabric is Alma, so I'm not sure why it's called gray. This next one I finished at Retreat. So this one is Rebel Stitcher Snow Bunny Kisses. And I had started it last year, and I was very excited about having snow and bunnies. Because if Easter is early, like I think it may have been last year, then I'm still in the mood to stitch snow, but if I don't get going on my bunnies and Easter stuff, Easter will be gone. This year, I was sort of done with wanting to stitch snow, and it's still not Easter yet, but I decided to go ahead and get this finished. This is another one that I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to finish it. I think this one's going to get framed. I just need to dig through frames. I haven't had a chance since I got home, but here it is finished. I put it on the blue Zweigart Petty Point, and it is 32 count Lugana. I did make a couple changes. So the words were supposed to be in white, but they weren't showing up. The background was too busy. And there were a couple other big snowflakes that were to go on here, but see how these are just sort of getting lost. I decided just to not even do them. So here it is up close. Other than those changes, it's the called for. So it's cocoa bean is the color for the bunnies. Yeah, everything else is the called for. The pink that I used for the words is the pink that's in the ears. But yeah, I'm happy with that one. So I just have to find, I'm thinking a brown frame on that one. I've got to dig in my frame stash and find one that will be a good size. I know I got one somewhere. All right, this was a market release just this year, and I was dying to do this one. It's the Puntinipuntini Spring Animals Trio, and there's the cow, the sheep, and the bunny. And the bunny is what I wanted to stitch, and I started it and finished it. This is on 36 count. Picture this plus Heartland, and it's all in the called for, and it calls for DMC. Yeah, it's all DMC. I had to remind myself. But I just love it. How sweet is that bunny? I did do it 1/2, except for the eyes. I did use 2 strands for the eyes. I don't want the eyes looking like X's. That's creepy to me. I wanted them really solid and well filled in. So I used 2 strands for her black eyes. But that is so sweet. I just am in love with this. And it's one that just came out at market. She has a Bisque Renew that has a bunny on it that looks very similar. and I'm having a hard time resisting adding that to my stash too, but it does look very similar to this bunny. I haven't decided how I'm going to FFO this one either, but at Needlework Extravaganza, I did buy a Nerge hoop. So it was a little pricier than the cheap, I don't even know what the ones are made, balsa, maybe. It's some really thin wood, maybe pine. This is very smooth and finished. It's a really nice quality wood. And I may just finish it in this and hang it with some pretty ribbon is what I may be thinking. I bought this with this in mind. I finished this before I left for Needlework Extravaganza, and when I saw these hoops I was like, ooh, maybe that's what I want to do. I could even stain the hoop. That's a possibility. Staining it darker and maybe a little, maybe not quite as warm toned, but get it more in the, I don't know what wood would be kind of grayish like that. Walnut maybe. So much to do. My finishes that aren't FFO'd are starting to get ahead of me, and that stresses me out. I like to keep up with my FFOing as I go along. So next time, expect to see a bunch FFO'd. I did pick out some finishing pieces, accessories to finish to FFO some finishes that I have shown in recent videos. So that's my plan, to work on that tomorrow, getting some of this FFOing finished. All right, so that I can stop saying finish and FFO. The next thing, this was a start, and I made pretty good progress on it. Not sure I'm gonna get this one finished this year, but it's Madame Chantilly Curious Rabbit. And I kept seeing this one and I loved it, and I had it in my cart or on my wish list at 123 Stitch for a long time, and then I was in my local LNS. Strawberry Sampler is the closest one. I'm not up there very often. It's just, it's about 5 minutes closer than Hodgepodge, but I go up to Strasbourg, Lancaster area a lot more for other things. Strawberry Sampler, there's not really, the things that I used to enjoy doing up that direction aren't there anymore. Like there used to be a Christmas tree shops up off the road that I would go on to get there, and Christmas tree shops is out of business, and just anything that I used to do up in that area has closed. So I just don't go up there very often. But she had this bunny, which I had been eyeing up for so long. He's so much trouble with the bulb on his head and those muddy feet, but his face is really cute. And that's Madame Chantilly. And so I started on it. Let me hold up this book behind it so the light doesn't show through. And I made pretty good progress. So it is on, he's just plain, I don't have the card in here for this one. Oh, you know what, I do. It is on raw natural, 32 count. So just plain natural linen, and ignore my needle hanging here, dangling. I'm still working on, actively working on this. But so anyway, I got the tulip and the part of the bunny head done. I would like to this year, I'd like to at least get the rest of the bunny done. so that next, and maybe the butterflies, so that all I would have left next year would be those flowers on the ground and a little bit of dirt. So expect to see some more of this. I need to stop waving it around in the air so you can actually see it. Sorry about that, folks. I'm feeling discombobulated tonight. I'm not sure why. But really liking him. He's a fun stitch. And so far the row after row of weight isn't driving me crazy, although you will see that that's where I stopped. All right, my next one, the Stitch Along, put a bird on it. Stitch Along hosted by EJ from the Sunshine Stitchers. Boatloads of people are in the Stitch Along. My friend Candy is in it. This is the pattern. Theirs is done with some Roxy Flossco floss. It's actually designed to be a single color, which is kind of funny then that the one on the cover is multicolor, but it's a lot of fun. If you look for hashtag put a bird on it, all one word, put a bird on it, all run together, you can find what folks have been doing for the Stitch Along, and man, a lot of people are finished already, and it just started in December. It runs 12 months, so we're April. Yeah, we should have the top third done this month. So down to like here-ish, somewhere about there. But people's are gorgeous. Every single color imaginable, all kinds of different color combinations. Every one of them is beautiful. This is just a beautiful piece stitched up. I'm having some regrets about my choices, but it is what it is. It's not like I'm going to change it now. I am going to do one thing. So what I am not happy about mine, I did dye the fabric myself, and it is going to be big. It's going to be like 15 by 15, and I wanted it to be that big. I want this for my family room wall, and it's a wall that right now has a couple big, like, not big, but it has two 16 by 20 prints on it, and I want to replace that with two stitched pieces, and they can't be tiny. So that drove my fabric choice, that I wanted this to be this size, and that's why it's this color. And then what I was not happy about was the blue silk does not look as variegated stitched as it does just on the hank. You can see it a tiny bit maybe over here. See, there's a little bit, this triangle is dark, and then the one next to it's lighter. So that's all it really does, is goes dark to lighter. But it's not as strong of a difference as what I would really have preferred. So you'll see the pattern has the alphabet on it. And my plan is to come in and do the alphabet with a different color. So I'm not going to stitch any of the alphabet for now. I want to get more of the Quakers in, and then I will figure out what I want to do for the alphabet. I have to think through whether I'm going to have to go lighter or darker. I'm worried if I go darker, they will be what catches the eye, and that's not necessarily what I want. So I will see. But loving stitching this one. I didn't get a lot done on it. I got this motif and this start done, and I finished this thing here. It was only about halfway done, so I've got some more to go to get caught up. I'm not worried about it. I'll get caught up. This was my day one at the retreat. So I had planned, the retreat is a full day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the half day Sunday, just till noon. So I planned 3 days of stitching. Thursday was the snow bunny. I forgot it wasn't that. And then it switched to that. I finished the snow bunny kisses, the bunnies in the snow from Rebel Stitcher. I finished that. I was very distracted though by seeing people and chatting and all the things. And then Friday is when the shopping opens. So I had moved on to stitching on the put a bird on it. I had finished the snow bunny early Thursday. I moved on to the put a bird on it, and then I stitched it through Friday. But I was very distracted by the shopping. I'll say it. So I didn't get as much done on that as I would have liked to. I thought I would get more than that done. I don't know why I always think I'm going to get a lot stitched at retreats. Although this next one, so Saturday, I was on it with the stitching. I had exhausted the shopping, just needed to steer clear of the 3rd floor. I took my AuryTM from Toledo to Toledo, and that's what I used for my Saturday stitching. I bought this at Needlework Extravaganza last year because it came out last year at Market. So I thought it would be fun to stitch on that there this year. And this I wanted to be a focus piece for this year. So I want to work on this a little bit every month and make some good progress on this. And she was there this year again. So I got to see it in person again, which motivated me even more to work on it. And here's my progress. So last time you saw this, I had the top band done, and I had started a little bit over here just so that I could get to this band. So everything basically below the top band is what I got done. I finished this band, and now I've started over here. This band runs the entire length, and this is half of it. I mean, I've got the fabric folded in half. This will finish at 16 inches wide, 20 inches long. So this runs all the way to the bottom, so I'm not going to do that whole band. I just want to go down far enough that I like having other things to work off of, so that I'm sure I've got everything positioned correctly. But still loving this. This is on 28 count Fiber on a Whim Cream and Sugar. One of my faves. And it's all Weeks Dye Works, except there is one DMC. And I've got it organized on one of these. I found that really useful when I did this top band. The top band required a lot of color changes unless you were going to count farther away than what I really wanted to count. What I have found is that down in this section, that hasn't been true at all, and I wouldn't necessarily even recommend this, but I'm in that anyway. One thing I did notice, the one color, it's in here, that middle diamond, and it's up here in these squares, the open squares. But see how this is really gray, this is really blue, this is really gray. That cottage blue is the color, and I've actually got two different. The dye lots are significantly different. So I don't know if you can see that, but this one is very blue. This one is very gray. And mine are about half and half. There isn't anything on the pattern that tells you how many skeins of each color you will need for any count. So I kept buying more and more because after I did this top part, I realized that it was going to take more than what I had. I'm using 28 counts, so it's going to use a lot of thread. But when I bought more, then I found that that color in particular has very strong differences dye lot to dye lot. So I'm being intentional about blending in the gray and the blue. So I've actually, that's why I've got two different skeins on my thing already, one on each side there, because I'm using the darker, the more gray toned one for the two outside and the blue in the middle. And I'm gonna try being intentional as I work my way down this. You know, I didn't want to, you know, you don't want to have your whole top half gray and then the whole bottom half look blue and it looks like you've changed colors halfway through your project. So I want to make sure that they're blended in well, the various dye lots. So that was the one with the biggest difference. Some of the others like bullfrog, grasshopper, shamrock had no difference. Twilight had some. There was a couple skeins of Twilight that had some green in it, and none of my other Twilight, and I've used Twilight in other things, and I had never had green pop up in it. So, just something to be aware with this pattern, that it doesn't tell you how much flush you're going to need, and the dye lots can be significantly different. All right, on to some retreat talk. So when we, what did I just lose? Oh, I love New Jersey. When we checked in, we got a tote bag, our gym bag. It's the only gym bag I'll be using. I thought that was cute. So we all got a gym bag, and it had a Zweigart Afghan in there, the kind anybody who's been stitching since the 80s or 90s even would remember this. They're probably like 11 or 12 count, and then they've almost got a weave in them that divides the fabric into squares and used to stitch something inside each square, or there were patterns that would spill across from one square into the next. There was an Afghan like that in there. I did give mine to someone there who had kind of a nonprofit thing, something she could use it for, because I really wasn't sure what I would use it for. Mine was Dusty Rose, and I couldn't think how I was going to use it. I had a couple thoughts, but then told myself, you know what? Those are thoughts. They're never going to make it on the list to get done. So just don't even haul this home. I'm trying to think what else was in the bag, because I've emptied it. So I don't remember. My friend Lana gave me a coaster. So somebody was selling these. I won a couple door prizes. So I won the door prize from Jim, and they had these nice bags. They're it's almost like a stiffer square bottom. But this was cute. Nice tote bag. And then the different vendors there had donated raffle prizes, and I won a basket from Susan Greening. I think it's Stitching with Sue, Stitching by Sue. She's been still stitching with Susan. She's been in the industry forever, and if you've ever been at a show where somebody is there selling a lot of banding, well, that's who it is. And then she's always got lots of gadgets. So I got a whole basket of goodies from her. I think I've mixed in maybe some things from some other grab bags that I had, but there was an antique hanky in there, a couple pieces of wool, felt good for finishing, a little piece of banding, and this is I can tell because this is actually part of the weave of the fabric. It's not like a stitched on lace, that this is likely from the factory in Germany that's out of business. Thread keeper with a marker and alcohol wipe so you can reuse it. There's a piece of linen in there. It's a nice piece of overdyed linen. It needs to be ironed, but this really sweet little homemade pumpkin. There was some soap and lotion. Yeah, I think this is from this. And then there was a whole bunch of overdyed floss in there. And then there was this thing. So here's my gadget. I want to know what this is this week. This is it. This comes off. But it's open on the end. I mean, it's a hole. Nothing is closed. All right, gang. What is that? It's rubbery. And this end doesn't come off, but this end does. But this is just a ring that goes around there. So, what do you think that is? We had fun at the table with guesses, but none of us came up with anything that I feel confident is the right answer. I did buy some grab bags from her. So she had grab bags last year that I bought. She did a lot of her stitching using Gentle Arts. Yeah, Gentle Arts. I forget if she said she lived near them or... I forget what the association was, but she did a lot of her kits for teaching using Gentle Arts threads. And so she has a lot of leftovers, and they're labeled as limited editions, so they don't have a color on them. But I had bought grab bags from her last year with those, and I had a lot of browns and greens in the limited editions, and they've been fantastic just to pull from to match a pattern instead of bothering about, do I have the same one that's called for in the pattern. This year she had floss grab bags, but they didn't have as much. They had some of the Gentle Arts in there. I've already put it away, but each grab bag had silk floss in it. So, you know, it's water lilies, couple thread gatherer silks. There's a Treenway silk. There's a Gloriana. So I did buy some of her floss grab bags to get the silks mostly. But they had other goodies in there too. The grab bags were $5 and each one had a silk and then like 4 other flosses in there. Some of them are more needle point. Like there was a skein of pearl cotton in each one. But pretty colors. I can use them to make cording or hangers, you know, something with. So it was worth it to get the silks in there. I did buy some banding from her and spent way more than I should have on a piece of this size fabric. Well, it's a yard, but I fell in love with this, and this is actually part of the weave. So this isn't stitched on. The dark gray, of course, is, but I don't know what I'm going to stitch on this, but I'll be coming up with something. I always actually like white on natural. I'm trying to think if I have anything just white. What time is it? So for anybody interested, the Needle Fest Extravaganza next year will be April 9th to 12th. Same location, I believe. What says Piscataway, New Jersey? So I'm guessing it'll be the same hotel. It's it's a nice Embassy Suites. They've got a summer getaway in Exton. They talked a lot about that one. I haven't been to that one. And then there's a Needle Fest in October that's at, I think that's a country club. And then in usually early December, they do, oh, they're saying Christmas in Williamsburg or winter in Williamsburg. So maybe they haven't decided. I have wanted to do that one. Williamsburg is beautiful when it's done up for Christmas, and that has typically been like the first weekend in December, somewhere around there. It's just there's always so much going on then. I'm usually in a frenzy thinking I need to get everything ready for Christmas as quickly as possible so that I can actually enjoy the last couple weeks of December and the holidays. So I haven't ever made it to that one, but I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. Let me see. What time is it? I'm not gonna go through the stuff that I picked up on the freebie table. I'm gonna go through the stuff I bought, and we'll see where we are with time. Maybe I'll go through the freebie table stuff next time. So I bought a couple little wood boxes. I forget if it was Noteworthy needle. I think it was Noteworthy. She was there. It might have been the Nebby Needler. Had these little wooden boxes, and they were $2. So this one is actually designed for a deck of cards, but they're well made. Everything's aligned nicely. I mean, they would need to be sanded and painted, but, and then this one is just, it's a different style. It doesn't have the latch, but it's got a little magnet closure in it. But I thought they would be nice for finishing smalls, for smalls exchanges. So I picked up a couple of those. Oh, and then patterns. All right. These first two are from Anabella's. I bought these in Jim's shop, and they are little Quakers. It's January and February, and it looks like they're from last year, but they're called Quick Little Quakers. And I do like the little Quakers. I would probably do them 1/1 like I am the Primrose Cottage, so they'll be little. But I picked up those. I like having the little Quakers for travel projects. Romy's creation, It's a Beautiful Day, and it says it's a beautiful day to make something. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but the okay, I'm getting really bad glare. Okay, I don't think it's the camera, it's just the TV picking up the glare. I don't know if you can tell, but that teal blue DMC is actually floss that is like stitched down with the black, what would be the paper bands around it. So it's just looped. It's not like stitched or back stitched, or this looks like a loop, looks like a real skein of DMC stitched down on there. But this was really cute in person, so I wanted that one. I bought Noteworthy needle. See, now I'm thinking she had the little wooden things. They were in the same room. That's why I'm confused. They were sharing a space. This is Eggstravaganza, revisited on linen. So she had these patterns that you could do on these great big wood, kind of like wood paper mache, flat eggs. But then she had the patterns like miniature. And what I really like is this chocolate. Let me cover my face so it'll focus. This chocolate bunny right here. But they were all cute. And they were cute how she just had them done They're just little flat pieces like you would do an ornament, but she's got them egg shaped and just tucked in the basket, and they were really cute that way. These next few, Jim had these. So Soda Stitch, you can buy them on Etsy. It's Jim's shop and Etsy are the only place I've ever seen Soda Stitch patterns. And I have no idea what I'm gonna do with them. But these first couple had bunnies on them, so they caught my eye. And we're not, my friend Lila and I were talking, we don't know why they all have these numbers on the bottom. I don't know if that's so you have the numbers that you could put the year or an age, or, but these numbers are on every pattern like that. And you wouldn't, I mean, why would you want everything to have 0 through 9 on it? So I got that one. Okay, the picture just isn't as big. I got that one. She's so cute. I love these Soda Stitches. These are 2 cats. And again, I have no idea what I would do with these, but I'll stitch them up and put them in a bowl somewhere. And then this little girl with the sidecar. They're just so cute. So I think they are from, they don't have a country of origin on them. I think someone told me Korea, but I don't know that that's true. So don't quote me on that. They just use DMC. And their website, they've got so many cute patterns, and then they've got some really funny sayings done in embroidery hoops. One of them I was looking at laughing. It said, if you lose your shoe at midnight, it's not a fairy tale, you're drunk. So I like that one. From AuryTM, so same designer as my big Toledo to Toledo, because she's from Spain. I had eyed up Quaker Turtle before, so I went ahead and bought Quaker Turtle, and I bought it for a specific reason. At Stitching in the Wild a year and a half ago, not last year's, the one before, he had a custom color from Romy's Creations, that was called Garon's Colors, and we were all given a skein of it when we, you know, like our welcome bag, and then I bought a bunch more. It is looking way more fluorescent on camera than it is in person. Good grief. It is teal and lime green combined, but it's not quite that fluorescent. Woo! But then I bought it, and I was like, what the heck am I going to do with that? I really like the color, but what am I going to do with it? But it would be perfect to do a turtle on, like, one of my darker colors that I really like. So that's why I bought this pattern, so that I will put this floss to use. And I do like both of them, so. I bought another pattern from her, Quaker Snowtime. This pattern picture doesn't do it justice. It's gorgeous in person. And hopefully I don't regret trying to stitch all that white. But it was beautiful in person. And then my last patterns, Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery was there. So I have never seen or heard of them being at retreats, but they were there. All the way from California. And it was such a treat to be able to see their pieces in person. And their patterns feel like an encyclopedia. And my friend Lana said it's because it's in there in color and in black and white and in, you know, it's like all the different varieties of a pattern that you might want is what they have packed in here. It's so thick that she thought that it was, you know, this was the pack of all of their patterns of that design, and that you were to just take a pattern out of the envelope. And so she was pulling something out and then realized, oh no, it's well, they've got stitching instructions. There's just all kinds of stuff. One thing I did notice in there, and it says, special thanks to Sunshine Stitchers, Ellen Chang, Melanie Watkins, Christian Montgomery, a bunch of YouTubers, because it's got all these skin, I probably shouldn't show it's got a skin customization guide in there. So they give you all these different colors that you could consider for skin tones. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that'd be something to keep even outside of the pattern. So the whole pattern's on cardstock. And yes, it's in color, it's in black and white. There's a lot happening in one of these. But I bought 3 patterns from them. I have none in my stash currently. I bought Greetings from the Parks, and I will probably do those individually as smalls, not as one big thing. But I've been to all of those parks, so I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, I bought that one. This is a small. She has the whole year of and all the animals. This is technically year of the rat, but I'm going to do it as a mouse. But yes, it is year of the rat. There is no mouse in the Chinese New Year. And then she's got them so that you could put any, she's got it charted so you could change to whatever year you wanted. But so I bought the little mouse. And then this one, the pattern picture doesn't do it justice. I fell in love with this in person. And I should have taken a picture of it because I don't remember it being on this slate of fabric. But it's a Halloween one. I like the little cats on there. And this little witch. Her stuff's just cute. And then I did buy 2 bags. Well, actually I bought another bag, but it's not in here. I bought this one from Creative Country Girl, which is TammyBlaylock.com. And it's because it's mouse fabric. And I don't think I have this mouse fabric. I wish I did, because it's all little mice. And I like mice on all the things, so. And she's got cute snowflake fabric lining it, a little clasp hanger. There's a tag for you to, you know, write what project's in there or insert your photo. I know some people do that. So I got that one, and then I got this one for 2 reasons. This is one of my favorite Christmas fabric lines. It's from Urban Chicks. It's a Moda line that was out a couple years ago. I think a couple years ago. Or was this one last year? They've had several Christmas and Halloween retro lines, and I love all of them. But I also wanted to, I like the size of this. It's a little bit smaller than what I normally make mine. And I have found that I have really small, and then I have sort of my bigger size, but I need some more medium sized. And so I love the fabric. And then she's used a different interfacing. So I normally use soft and stable because I like mine to stand up like this is. This is not soft and stable. It's Pellon think it's called Deco Bond. I have to double check. I've got some here somewhere. I'm not sure it's any cheaper than Soft and Stable though. If I'm remembering when I bought Deco Bond, it was pricey. But I do like the thinness of it and that it's firm and the bag holds its shape. I don't really like the bags that want to flop around. Just because of the way I keep them on the shelf. I can deal with a few of them in there like that, because then I've got enough that are firm and will stand up on their own to keep everything in line. But if they were all flapping, it would make me crazy. Anyway, I am at an hour and I've had a splitting headache all day. So I think I'm going to wrap up now. And I will show my freebie table stuff that I got next time. Because I don't know how much stitching I'm going to have to show next time. I got to work a weekend in here. And then my next retreat is Stitch North, which will be I'll be leaving April 30th and gone until May 10th, 11th, that weekend. So, I've got to figure out my schedule and what I'm going to do in there, if I'm going to miss an episode, or if I can between now and then get it recorded. I'm going to do an episode on how to make project bags, or how I make project bags anyway. Because I've had some people ask for that. So I hope everyone is having a good time stitching. I hope everyone is not battling. There's been a lot of, I came back from Vegas with a cold. Everybody I work with has had a cold. I don't, now it's just morphed into allergies. I think it's just that time of year. So hopefully all of you are healthy and chilling out, getting some stitching done. And hopefully I will be seeing some of you at upcoming retreats. Because again, I had a blast this last weekend, meeting with folks like Jean and Carolyn and some other people who I've crossed paths with at retreats or through Flosstube. So everybody take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.